Hi, this is Simon, and welcome to another marvelous video. Batman is undoubtedly the most popular superhero within the DC Comics, so much so that not only does he enjoy mass appeal amongst the general public, but he also has an overly dedicated fan base. This means that the release of anything Batman is always something people will eagerly wait for. Since the 1960s, we have watched several Batman movies, and although live action has been hot and cold, Batman's animated films have almost always been a success. Considering the popularity the character enjoys, many a writer has brainstormed intricate plots around the Caped Crusader, but sometimes external circumstances aren't the kindest. Such situations have led to the suspension of many Batman stories that could have made their way onto the big screens. In today's video, we will talk about 22 such movies surrounding Batman that did not make the final cut. Before diving into our content, we would like to make a very small request to our viewers. Please subscribe to Marvelous Videos, like and comment on our videos, and press the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload a video. We'll be grateful to you, and we hope to bring you the most nerdy content. So without further ado, let's get right into the video.
What are you? I'm Batman.
Number 1. Tim Burton's Batman 3. Filmmaker Tim Burton has enjoyed great success with his macabre depiction of Michael Keaton's Batman in the 1989 Batman movie. This has also led to the release of its sequel, the 1992 Batman Returns, where Batman was framed by Penguin and Catwoman for murdering some of Gotham City's wealthiest. Burton wanted to create a trilogy with his Batman movies, promising a Batman 3 with Keaton reprising his role as Batman alongside Michelle Pfeiffer, who would return to the screen as Catwoman. However, the surprises did not end there. Burton wished to bring Harvey Dent's Two-Face and the Riddler together for his franchise, and the iconic Batman rogues was set to be played by Billy D. Williams and Mickey Dolenz. Meanwhile, Robin had been cut from the Batman Returns, but he was also set to make his appearance in the third film, with Marlon Wayans stepping into the shoes of the Boy Wonder. Unfortunately, it was the second movie, Batman Returns, which performed poorly at the box office, drawing flack from viewers and critics alike. As such, Warner Brothers decided to let go of Burton's grim vision and opted for Joel Schumacher's light and brighter tone in Batman Forever. Number 2. Ben Affleck's The Batman. Following the release of Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice and Justice League, Warner Brothers had planned to release a standalone Batman film centered around Ben Affleck's portrayal of the Caped Crusader. The film was all set to be a dark psychological thriller with elements of mystery to do justice to the world's best detective. To add to that, Ben Affleck was supposed to share the credit for co-directing and co-writing the script alongside the legendary Jeff Johns. The movie would have come out sometime during 2019, with Joe Manganiello playing Deathstroke. Warner Brothers had decided to title the film as The Batman, which you may recognize as the one which now stars Robert Pattinson. The reason why Affleck's project was sent to the back burner was Affleck himself, who reported to have lost his passion for it while going through several personal and professional issues in his life, alongside his alcoholism, which has plagued his life during the shooting of Justice League. The original movie was supposed to be set in Arkham Asylum, while being an action movie on par with the likes of James Bond. Of course, all of that was later changed for the Batman movie, centered around Robert Pattinson. Number 3. Batman vs Godzilla. There is a Batman vs Superman, there is a King Kong vs Godzilla, and then there is Batman vs Godzilla, or at least it could have been, almost 60 years ago, even before Batman himself had a full-length film that revolved around him. Writer of Godzilla wished to make his prehistoric reptilian monster go against the Caped Crusader, even before Adam West's Batman film had hit the screens in 1966. Batman would also be joined by Robin in this fight against Godzilla, where he would be equipped with his bat vehicles and tech. However, the idea for this film never took off, and we do not even know whether Sekizawa even pitched his idea to Warner Brothers or not. Come to think of it, such a concept would translate very poorly to the big screen, considering the technology and CGI that was rampant in the 60s, which was definitely not the best. However, it could work today, and with both the franchises being under Warner Brothers, there could be a teeny tiny chance for this eccentric crossover to happen. However, there's a higher chance of it never taking off, primarily because of the fact that the average person would not want to see Batman fight Godzilla. Number 4. Batman vs Superman. Long before Dawn of Justice, And by long before, we mean 14 to 15 years ago, there was an idea that could have allowed us to witness Batman fight Superman. The head of Warner Brothers in the early 2000s, Alan Horn, wished to revive the Superman and Batman film franchises at the same time. He wanted to hit two birds with one stone by releasing this movie, and it went on to be pitched to writer Andrew Kevil Walker. However, things seldom work out, and the script for what was going to be the darkest Batman film was revised by Akiva Goldsman, the writer for Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. In one of his future interviews, he revealed that they were intending to make Jude Law play Superman and Colin Farrell play Batman for this ultra-dark story, which was more than ready to dive into heavy themes such as the death of Alfred and one of the Joker's cruel schemes that would allegedly break Batman emotionally. The story would kick off with a Batman who has come out of retirement following the death of his wife. Meanwhile, Superman had experienced a recent divorce. Lex Luthor used the two heroes in their vulnerable states and pitted them against one another to cause trouble. That is business per usual for Luthor. However, Alan Horn was way too torn about the concept, and in the end, Warner Brothers went with standalone films for each superhero, which allowed them to make the Superman films brighter while keeping Batman's side of the cinematography more depressing and dark.
I freeze. I'm Batman.
Number 5. Batman Unchained. Batman and Robin, being a terrible movie, had way too many negative repercussions, with the cancellation of Batman Unchained being the worst of them all. It was supposed to be a sequel that was all set to be released sometime during the middle of 1999. Writer Mark Protosvek had worked on the script with Joel Schumacher returning as a director. From the get-go, Schumacher had the intentions of creating a trilogy with the same cast. He did not want to be one of those guys who would just discard the actors and move on. Too bad Batman and Robin tanked hard enough to receive criticism from viewers, fans and critics alike, so much so that Batman Unchained had to be scrapped off. The story was supposed to take off after the events of Batman and Robin, when the duo would go their separate ways following disagreement. Soon after, Batman would go on to learn about the existence of Jonathan Crane, an unstable scientist who was popularly known as the Scarecrow. Needless to say, Batman would find himself to be a victim of Crane's infamous fear toxin and hallucinate. He would envision his enemies such as the Joker, Catwoman, the Penguin, Harley Quinn, the Riddler and Two-Face. To make it worse, he would see them reunite with one another as they would judge Bruce Wayne during his trial. In several places, the script strayed far away from the source material, as Harley Quinn was made to be the Joker's daughter, who was also a vengeful toy maker seeking revenge on Batman for killing her father. Meanwhile, Scarecrow would find out that the man behind Batman's mask was Bruce Wayne all along. To evade the problem at hand, Scarecrow would come up with the plan of breaking Batman down psychologically and throwing him in Arkham. However, he would soon be saved by his once partner Robin, and the film would end with Batman heading off to Bali. With respect to the movie, George Clooney was supposed to play the role of Bruce Wayne or Batman. After he cancelled, the mantle was passed down to Kurt Russell. Meanwhile, Robin will be played by Chris O'Donnell, Barbara Wilson by Alicia Silverstone, and Alfred by Michael Gough. The creators were desperate to have Nicolas Cage for the role of Scarecrow. If not him, their other options were Jeff Goldblum. In fact, the director wanted to make a dark Batman movie to stay true to its essence, instead of making it much brighter. However, several factors worked against Batman Unchained. In fact, Clooney claimed to have become incapable of feeling for the character. If only Batman and Robin had not experienced the abysmal performance in the theaters, we could have gotten Jim Carrey as the Riddler as well, but such a star-studded cast would undoubtedly result in tremendous budgetary issues. Number 6. Batman 5. Batman and Robin was so bad that Poison Ivy's kisses weren't the only poisonous thing there. The movie poisoned all the movies that would have released within the Batman franchise, and no features from Harley Quinn could probably outdo the damage caused by it. This led to another shelved idea with Batman 5, which Schumacher wanted to release following his success with Batman Forever. It was supposed to mimic the darker tone of Tim Burton's Batman, with its psychological story and certain reimaginations that would put Harley on the same team as Batman. Number 7. The Batman. Let's go back by 10 years before Michael Keaton became Bruce Wayne. Producers Michael Olson and Benjamin wanted to be the ones adapting Batman the same way as Warner Brothers had done with Superman. but obviously the Dark Knight story had to be darker. The project was boarded on November 1979, and after producers Peter Guber and John Peters agreed, and it took 4 years for the movie to have a script. It was clearly stated that the movie, written by Tom Malkovich, would explore the origins of Batman and Robin within a framework that would have the Joker as the central villain. As more and more time passed, several other filmmakers were pitched this movie, and everyone brought different ideas to the table, which eventually got a little bit too much. In the end, though, Warner Brothers brought back Tim Burton to direct the film, who thought that the existing premise for the show was too simple, which meant that it needed to be revamped. Number 8. Batman and Robin spin-off. Ever since the 90s, Warner Brothers wanted to cash in on the Batman franchise by releasing spin-offs and using Batman's fame and Pfeiffer's popularity as Catwoman. Chris O'Donnell later spoke about the unreleased movies, many of which were cancelled due to the abysmal performance of Batman and Robin. Number 9. The Dark Knight movie. No, we're not talking about the Christopher Nolan's critically acclaimed sequel. This particular movie by Stephen Wise and Leo Shapiro was supposed to be the one that would revolve around the likes of the Scarecrow and the Man-Bat. And all of these ideas almost took off before Nolan worked alongside Warner Brothers to reboot the Batman franchise. The story for the movie would follow Frank Miller's comic The Dark Knight Returns and featured Jonathan Crane's Scarecrow and Kirk Langstrom's Man-Bat as the villains. The idea for the movie was pitched by the Shapiro and Wise, and they wanted to see a future where Dick Grayson was already in Gotham University and Bruce Wayne had retired as Batman. Scarecrow would appear as one of the professors in the university while also being a resident psychiatrist at Arkham Asylum. He exploited his powerful position and was able to use the social power to make a fear toxin for Scarecrow. Meanwhile, Man-Bat terrorized Gotham while the people believed that it was done by Batman himself. To prove his innocence, even the Dark Knight had gone off the grid. Shapiro and Wise had pitched the movie to several people. The creative executive of his own studio, Greg Silverman, enjoyed the intention of taking Batman back to his darker route. Meanwhile, Tom LaSalle and Schumacher also agreed to the pitch, but unfortunately, after LaSalle was replaced by Jeff Robinov, the movie was scrapped. 10. Batman, Year One, Batman Beyond. While most of the movies in this list have gone through their stages of development, Darren Aronofsky's Batman Year One never did. Aronofsky was hired as the scriptwriter, and he wanted actor Joaquin Phoenix to fill the shoes of Batman, who ironically plays the Joker at present. Schumacher was previously in on this, and he wanted fans to have a proper adaptation of Batman Year One, but he was soon swapped with Darren Aronofsky. Although Aronofsky had written a script, the project was scrapped. Originally, the script would witness a young Bruce Wayne who lost his fortune following the death of his parents, prompting him to become a street-level vigilante. Miller was brought in to help out Aronofsky with the script, and they wanted to start working on everything from scratch. They switched to Joss Whedon later, but unfortunately, neither of the two worked out for them. Number 11. Justice League Mortal. Prior to the 2017 DC Extended Universe film Justice League, George Miller had tried to film Justice League Mortal, where DJ Catrona would appear as Superman, while Armie Hammer would play a younger Batman. Meanwhile, Megan Gale would play Wonder Woman, Adam Brody would be the Flash, Santiago Cabrera would be Aquaman, and Common would become the Green Lantern. Despite almost being made, the idea to create Justice League Mortal was ultimately shot down. The movie was supposed to go into development in 2008, showing off a psychological deranged Bruce Wayne, much like the one Bale had played. The film was written by Michelle and Kieran Mulroney, but the writer's strike and the tremendous success of Nolan's The Dark Knight resulted in Justice League Mortal being scrapped. Number 12. Fleischer Studios' Batman. Fleischer Studios is renowned for its success with the Superman cartoons, but do you know that they had tried to adapt Batman as well? In fact, the studios had communicated with DC Comics to go ahead with their idea. About the two companies had even discussed the necessary budget. However, the production was ultimately abandoned even after the Fleischers were almost about to sign the deal with the National Comics. Number 13, CBS Mike Henry Batman. Adam West and Burt Ward Batman series was an incredible success in 1966. CBS tried to hop onto the bandwagon as well, as they attempted to release a live-action program for children with Batman in the center. They even contacted Mike Henry and hired him as an actor, but the project unfortunately became stagnant and was later almost sold to NBC, who refused to accept the project. Number 14, Batman, Assault on Arkham 2. American storyboard artist Jay Oliver had intentions to make a sequel to Batman, Assault on Arkham, the details of which he had revealed in a 2016 interview. However, after he left Warner Bros. Animation, the sequel project was suspended. Number 15, Batman Arkham. Warner Bros. Witnessed great success with Batman and Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero, prompting them to go for a third installment in the series under the name Batman Arkham. Warner Bros. Went on to hire Boyd Kirkland to work on the script and direct the film, keeping the cast from Batman, the animated series, in mind. The film was all set to follow Batman and Robin, who were meant to go against those who had escaped from Arkham Asylum. Batman would also find a new love interest, but it was all cancelled in the end for Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. Number 16, The Batman vs. Hush. Hush has been quite a pain in the butt for Batman across movies, and he was even supposed to be the main villain in Batman vs. Hush, where he would be supported by the likes of Clayface, the Joker, Catwoman, the Riddler, and the Penguin. Number 17, Batman Glorious Final. Considering both Batman Unchained and Batman Dark Knight were cancelled, there was room for another idea that unfortunately never took flight. Stephen Wise and Leo Shapiro had planned out Batman Glorious Final, which would possibly witness Michael Keaton reprise his role as Bruce Wayne in Batman. The project was kicked off in 2000, but by 2002 it had been scrapped and suspended. The movie was supposed to revolve around Batman and Robin fighting Killer Croc, who had brought the Joker back from the dead. In fact, it was the failure of Batman and Robin that played a big role in the suspension of this film. Number 18, Justice League, Worlds Collide. In 2004, Bruce Timm had come up with an idea for a Justice League feature film that would connect the second season of the animated series Justice League and the first season of Justice League Unlimited. The story would dive into Wonder Woman acquiring her invisible jet and portray the crime syndicate, which is an evil version of the Justice League, as the main antagonist. The syndicate was later swapped for the Justice Lord, who would happen to be another evil version of the League. The script for the film was written by Dwayne McDuffie, but the project was suspended by Warner Bros., and the plot was later used for the film Justice League Crisis on Two Earths. Number 19, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. Originally, Zack Snyder intended to break the director, going for a trilogy trope, and instead wished to direct 5 films back-to-back for the DC Extended Universe under Warner Bros. However, personal issues in his family led him to leave the Justice League team after passing the baton to Joss Whedon, whose direction style was quite different compared to Snyder's. As such, a clunk of the original narrative for the film was altered to fit Whedon's vision, who shortened a 4-hour-long movie into a 2-hour one. Due to the fans desperately pleading for a Snyder Cut version of Justice League 2021, witnessed a re-release as all the old material was brought back. This was a huge success, and yet Warner Bros. Did not want to dive deep into the Snyder universe, unlike the viewers, possibly because Snyder's Batman was supposed to play a huge role in Justice League 2 and eventually perish in Justice League 3. They did not want to lose Batman, obviously. Number 20, Untitled Batman Beyond animated film. Alongside Batman Year One, Warner Bros. Also tried to make an animated film for Batman Beyond, which took heavy inspiration from the successful animated show of the same name. This 1999 series by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm portrayed a futuristic Gotham City where Bruce Wayne was old and retired, while Terry McGinnis was the new Batman. This teenage vigilante had trained under Bruce himself, and the creators were excited to translate the premise into a live-action movie. The adaptation was shelved by the Warner Bros. Studio, however, and rightfully so, because live-action adaptations are notorious for being unfaithful to the original and sucking away everything that made the first one special.
Batman. If you had the guts for that kind of fun, you would have done it years ago.
Number 21, Untitled Batman Beyond Return of the Joker sequel. Batman Beyond Return of the Joker reveled in its dark tones, but got the short end of the stick when it came to sequels. Due to the macabre nature of the possible sequel, it was scrapped off. Originally, the plot was supposed to revolve around Terry McGinnis, who would learn that he is the clone of Bruce Wayne, who was created by Selina Kyle, or Catwoman. Although the film was cancelled, some of its elements made their way to the episode Epilogue in Justice League Unlimited. Number 22. Untitled Batman sequel 1960s. After the Batman film hit the screens in 1966, a sequel with Burt Ward and Adam West reappearing as Batman was supposed to take flight. This story was set to revolve around Batman and Robin taking their fight against criminals to outer space. Marvelous verdict. Some of the plots sound cool, while others could be a hit or miss. An animation to live action adaptation is almost always a disaster, so some of these concepts getting suspended isn't too bad either. Although we definitely would have loved to witness a Batman who became a street vigilante after losing his fortune. Life goes on. If you ever felt bad about losing out on a good Batman movie though, always remember that you have Nolan's trilogy to fall back on. And with that, today's video comes to an end. What did you think of the suspension of these 22 Batman films? Did you enjoy the video? If yes, then don't forget to like and comment on the video. Till then, goodbye and have a nice one.
I'm Batman.